For nearly 3 decades, the World Trade Center dominated the Manhattan skyline. The huge twin towers rose up more than 400 meters into the sky, architectural masterpieces. In 1962, American architect Minoru Yamasaki is commissioned to design a new trade center in New York City. The structure is intended to revitalize Lower Manhattan while dominating the rest of the city. Yamasaki designs a complex of 7 buildings in total. In the center are the North and South Towers, each with 110 floors. Despite protests, an entire Manhattan neighborhood is razed, and construction begins on August 5, 1966.
Hier auf der Westseite von Manhattan, direkt an der Wasserfront, nicht weit von den Anlegestellen der großen Passagierdampfer aus Europa, entsteht das World Trade Center, das Welthandelszentrum mit 2 Wolkenkratzertürmen, die das Empire State Building um etwa 35 Meter überragen werden. Mit Zahlen allein lassen sich die gigantischen Proportionen der Baustelle kaum erfassen. Hier werden nach Fertigstellung der Wolkenkratzer und der Nebengebäude täglich 80.000 Geschäftsleute aus aller Welt erwartet. Bei den Ausschachtungsarbeiten für die Wolkenkratzer mussten Schutzwände gegen den Druck des Wassers vom Hudsonfluss und gegen den Druck der Erdmassen gebaut werden. Die Schwarzseher, die ganze Straßenzüge in riesigen Erdlöchern verschwinden sahen, haben sich geirrt. Planmäßig und ohne nennenswerte Unterbrechungen sind die bisherigen Arbeiten verlaufen. Die Fundamente aus Stahl und Beton für die Wolkenkratzer liegen fest und sicher 25 Meter unter der Erdoberfläche.
Hundreds of thousands of tons of steel and concrete are used, and the towers are outfitted with a total of 43,600 windows and 198 elevators. Each facade is made up of 236 load-bearing steel columns. And each tower is further supported by 47 interior steel columns. This construction is designed to withstand hurricanes and earthquakes. The World Trade Center is officially inaugurated on April 4th, 1973. It is a city within the city, with its own postal code and subway station.
"14 Stockwerke unter der Erde liegen die Bahnsteige der Untergrundbahn. Sie verbindet Manhattan mit New Jersey und bringt den Großteil der 50.000 Menschen, die in diesen Wolkenkratzern arbeiten, an ihre Arbeitsplätze. Im unteren Flur gibt es eine Geschäftsstadt mit Banken, Restaurants und Einkaufsläden, die es möglich machen, alles für das Leben Notwendige einzukaufen, ohne das Gebäude verlassen zu müssen. Das Center verfügt über eine eigene Polizei, nicht zuletzt deshalb, weil man inzwischen weiß, dass mit der Höhe eines Gebäudes die Rate der Kriminalität wächst, auf Treppen, in Fahrstühlen, auf Toiletten. Um das Gebäude funktionsfähig zu erhalten, müssen täglich rund 50 Tonnen Güter mit Lastkraftwagen herangeschafft und 50 Tonnen Müll abgefahren werden. Der Wolkenkratzer verarbeitet in der Klimaanlage pro Minute fast 90.000 Liter Flusswasser, das schließlich um 10 Grad wärmer wieder in den Hudson zurückgeleitet wird. Die Behörden erlauben das nur deshalb, weil der Fluss hier ökologisch ohnehin bereits tot ist. Das Center braucht für seine Stromversorgung die Leistung eines Kraftwerks von 110 Megawatt und ist hinsichtlich seiner Grundfunktionen nur noch über einen Computer zu steuern.
For the plaza between the twin towers, architect Minoru Yamasaki commissions an artwork. The monumental bronze sculpture is dubbed the Sphere by New Yorkers. It's created by German sculptor Fritz Koenig.
Hat auch was von einem Helm, von einem Footballspielerhelm oder von einer Schutzmaske, von einem Astronauten, Besteck. Und das alles vielleicht drin, weiß nicht.
New Yorkers are initially skeptical of the World Trade Center. Many find the design of the Twin Towers inhospitable and megalomaniacal.
Yes, well, it's very obvious that they have been designed with no relation to efficiency. They're designed to serve the power system and to produce as much profit or as much publicity as it is possible to get. The way you get publicity is to make a structure higher than any other, hence there's competition for space in the sky. The way you get enormous rents is by increasing the number of people that occupy the land. That's the sole purpose of height, has no other purpose. The megastructure is a very rigid kind of structure. It doesn't allow for choices. Once you've decided to put people there, there's nothing left around that's worthwhile having. People don't see each other, they don't converse with each other, they don't hold each other by the hand in such structures. They live isolated lives in little cells.
The World Trade Center holds the record as the world's tallest building for only 2 years before being superseded by the Sears Tower in Chicago. Each day, tens of thousands of people come to the observation platform atop the South Tower and to the restaurant Windows on the World. But it isn't just tourists who are drawn to the Twin Towers. In 1974, French high-wire artist Philippe Petit makes a total of 8 passes in an unauthorized walk on a wire spanned between the two towers. And in 1975, Owen J. Quinn, who had worked on the construction of the World Trade Center, parachutes from the roof of the North Tower. In 1977, the American George Willig climbs the facade of the South Tower, reaching the roof in 3.5 hours. The World Trade Center becomes a symbol of New York and one of the world's most famous buildings. The Twin Towers appear in hundreds of films. The imposing architecture provides the perfect backdrop for spy thrillers such as 3 Days of the Condor. In a remake of King Kong, the giant ape doesn't climb the Empire State Building, but rather the higher and more modern World Trade Center. The skyscrapers are instantly recognizable, becoming almost mythical thanks to films such as Home Alone 2. And they become the symbol of American capitalism.
Nothing you have ever experienced can prepare you for the unbridled carnage you're about to witness. The Super Bowl, the World Series, they don't know what pressure is. In this building, it's either kill or be killed. You make no friends in the pits and you take no prisoners. 1 minute, you're up $500,000 in soybeans, and the next, boom, your kids don't go to college and they've repossessed your Bentley. Are you with me?
But its great symbolic power also makes the World Trade Center a target for terrorists. On February 26, 1993, a car bomb explodes in the complex's underground parking garage.
At 12:18, the World Trade Center was shaken by what seemed like an earthquake.
We were sitting out there doing our work, and all of a sudden we heard a loud bang.
Oh, there was a huge explosion that rocked the building.
Moments after the violent explosion, clouds of black smoke rose from the underground parking garage as high as the 110th floor. At this point, some 70,000 people were in the World Trade Center, the second highest office building in the world. The power went out. All the elevators stopped. Thousands of people got out of the building through emergency exits and stairways. For those working on the upper floors, this took several hours. Many suffered smoke poisoning and had to be given oxygen at the scene. Others broke windows to let the smoke out or escape to the roof, where they were evacuated by helicopter. Meanwhile, rescue teams searched the wreckage for survivors. The explosion revived the issue of skyscraper security. Many emergency exits were locked, emergency lighting failed to function, and even the sprinkler systems broke down.
It's another smog. You can breathe. You can breathe.
We didn't think we were going to get out. We didn't think we were going to get out at all. I figured they'd just come and find 150 dead bodies up here.
6 people are killed and more than 1,000 injured in the bombing. And the explosion tears a 45-meter-wide crater in the World Trade Center's parking garage. But the terrorists fail to achieve their goal, which is to cause the building to collapse. After the attack, security measures at the World Trade Center are increased. But another attack cannot be prevented. Eight years later, on September 11th, 2001, there is a further terrorist attack. Islamist extremists fly 2 hijacked airliners into the Twin Towers. Less than 2 hours later, both towers collapse. 2,735 people are killed, and the Twin Towers and the other buildings in the World Trade Center complex are destroyed. During the cleanup and recovery efforts, firefighters find Fritz Koenig's bronze sculpture. It is damaged by the collapse, but not destroyed. Six months after the attacks, the sphere is initially installed in Battery Park as a memorial to the victims of September 11th.
Thank you. Never forget. It survived the collapse of the Twin Towers, as did the idea that catalyzed its creation. A peaceful world based on trade.
Es ist wie wenn man etwas wiederfindet, was man eigentlich verloren haben müsste im Rahmen der Katastrophe.
Ja.
Sie ist aufgestanden. Sie hat es überlebt.
Today, the sculpture stands not far from its original location, in front of the tower of the new One Trade Center.